Tonight's edition of the Odessa Fringe will be a tribute show. We advise that viewers please respect the confidentiality and privacy for the family during this time, and to keep all comments respectful and appropriate. Thank you, and enjoy tonight's show.
On September 1st, the news had been broken out of fellow researcher and explorer David from Texas had passed away. And on tonight's edition of the Odyssey Fringe, we want to pay tribute to David with those close to him in the field, including family, and especially tonight, pay tribute to his research commitment and contribution, and talk about the legacy he leaves and going forward into the future. Tonight's edition of The Fringe is a tribute-only show. Additional topics of normal cryptozoology to crime and murders and other additional topics are off limits tonight unless referenced within this tribute. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christopher Cyrus, and tonight you are listening into the Odyssey Fringe. And tonight we are paying tribute to a fallen researcher and explorer in the field of cryptozoology, that being a gentleman that we all know best as David from Texas. Of course, tonight's edition of the show, we will be paying tribute. And additionally, following up with that, tonight I am joined by several close associates of David. I'm joined by tonight Sean Steenberg. Sean, welcome to the show, sir. It's great to have you here. And I'm also joined by Tracy Campu. And Tracy, I'm so sorry if I have butchered that last name, but welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you here, and we will be having additional guests come in on the show as we speak sporadically throughout this tribute piece. And again, tonight, as I had put through the disclaimer, this is a simply tribute show. You know, normal content for what we do here on The Fringe is off limits unless it is one of the subject matters that we focus primarily on. And of course, you know, before I even go into our questions of the show tonight, additionally, you know, tonight's show is a tribute show. We're here to pay tribute. We're here to say hello or say goodbye, as well as also to a fellow researcher. And, you know, I wanted to do this show when I found out the news in response to such a very tragic, unfortunate situation. And, you know, I just wanted to just do something that was appropriate and that was something that was right. That way we can go ahead and do this here. And I wanted to bring close associates with them to be a part of this event because it's appropriate. And with that being said, you know, I've already spoken my 2 cents. I want to give the floor right now to you guys. You know, I can easily say, you know, when we met David, what was the one thing we can say, you know, how do we meet David? But I want to take a second now to, you know, recognize everybody else here who is here to pay tribute and of course to say our goodbyes. Sean, I'll start with you. Where did it all begin with you and David? And of course, you know, how did that start?
Well, okay, I'll leave some names out for obvious reasons, and it'll be only vague enough to where you'll be able to put 2 and 2 together. But there was some drama going on within the community, as there always is, and his name got mentioned, and I was like, I've seen that guy before, you know, commenting on various groups that I was in. So I was like, I'm just going to go add this dude. And so I went and added him, found out that not only do we have, you know, the topic in common, we lived in practically the same city. I don't think he lived where I live now. I think he lived a little further north towards the Lake Worth area. But his family is friends with a lot of my friends and their families. And they all went to the same school together back when they were, you know, young. And then him and I just started talking about the topic, and we got on some personal things. We talked about my kids and everything like that, but you know, we can try to avoid the topic as much as possible, but it'll be kind of hard in reference to David because a lot of stuff he did was you know, cryptid and paranormal stuff. I mean, he got some cool stuff that he captured. But yeah, that's it. That's basically how we met, man. That's some Facebook drama with a certain individual that you might have had a run in, in the past about. So, yeah, so anyway, that's what drew me to David, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, I mean, it takes connection, it takes great resilience and where we meet from, and of course, we could speak more on that after the show, brother. And I know David would be getting a good laugh right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
he would.
Yeah.
He knew about all that nonsense, and of course, he was always a heavy supporter. Tracy, how did you meet David, and where did it all begin for you with him as well in research?
Moderators in a group for a particular someone, and a lot of drama went down in that group. And when the dust settled, me and David and a gentleman named Antonio Skilly and a friend named Lisa, we all talked on the daily for, I'd have to go back and tell you, but it was more than 5+ years. So and we just talked. We were friends. We talked every day online, just about, and we talked about personal things as well. But over the years, we exchanged pictures and, hey, what do you see here? This is what I see, and we would help. David was more skilled with being able to separate colors out of pictures and stuff like that, whereas all I have is my phone, and I go out there and have what I have with my phone. And he would go back and say, hey, look what is there, what you missed, and those type of things. He went out boots on the ground a lot more often. He was having the ability to walk around in the woods and being close to a lake, and things would present themselves, and he had some pretty awesome pictures, and was a good researcher and a good friend. Sorry. Oh, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And the big thing is here is that, like, tonight's edition, we're here to pay tribute, and we're especially here to do something that is righteous, and of course sit back and talk about someone who we lost in the community, and especially in how we all met about. So I will go ahead and I will discuss how I met David. So David, surprisingly, back in the Venomous Fringe days, it's wild to think that it's been 5 years or so since then. But David, he was originally known as Dude from Texas, and he would always comment and always just say, hey, I love your show, I like what you're doing, I like how you go about the style, the grunge, the stuff that I would always incorporate. And even as you saw in the show this beforehand. And it's very, we were just having conversations, and we spent about 2 or 3 hours just talking about, like, beliefs and just different things, and how things, what we believed in our system of understanding, and all those other magic matters. And there would be times where he would send me pictures and stuff, and I would sit there and say, Dave, I don't see nothing. I'm so sorry. I really don't want you to think I'm saying it in the wrong way, but I don't see what you're seeing. But he would explain it to me, and he would even give me a buzz and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm looking out for. So the connection was strong then, and it was always strong even after. And it's even bigger now, even in postmortem. But, I strongly was heavy with that. And right now, currently speaking, ladies and gentlemen, I have David's wife, Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy that you wanted to do this. I'm very honored. And, I know everything was last minute in a sense, but I just want you to know, in honor of your late husband's legacy and everything he's done for this community, we wanted to do something nice and pay a tribute to him, and know that there is love, that there's respect, and that we're all here. And, this is something that we wanted to do here and show our support in such a heavy time. We've all lost people in our life, but, when we do what we got to do, show our support, to pay our respects. So I welcome you, and I thank you for being a part of this broadcast this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. And of course, as I'm looking through our chats right now, hello, Lisa A. It's great to have you here. Hello, Trevor. It's great to welcome you onto the show, guys. So tonight, I when I did the intro, I wanted to make it clear that all subject matter in regard to everything that we touch about on the Odyssey Fringe is off guard unless discussed. And one of the big things that David always talked about, and just something that I've always been enticed with, was just the fascination of cryptozoology, right? I think we're all here for cryptozoology. And, I'll never forget when there was a time when he had sent me a majority of photographs, and they were all just showing just Dogman and something Bigfoot related. And he would describe to me like in detail about just how all the stuff he was putting in. And I was just like, dude, this is wild. Like, you've only been really researching for about a year at this point, but you really are descriptive and putting in your things. And I'm really impressed with. So, David, I will say one thing. He's always been so descriptive, so respected, and so on par with things. And that was just one thing that really took me afloat when I was talking with him. I'll go down the list. Sean, is there a highlight that you had with David in research that always stood out to you, and something that would say, hey, this guy, he's the real deal?
Oh yeah. So there was a picture that he took, and he said he said it was a dog man, and it certainly looked like a dog man, and I might have to go through his pictures and find it. But what got me the most is where he took the picture, and it wasn't deep in the woods somewhere. It was not too far from where we live, and that blew my mind. And it was like, man, I've been to this place many times. Me and my friends have. We've swam there. We brought our children there, and he took this picture like in a creek, not far from where we all hang out. And 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even, I forget how old I am. 20 years ago, when I was like 16, this stuff was in the back of my mind. It was always something I've been in with my, my family, everybody. We've always been. But it was in the back of our mind. So anytime I go to the woods or go camping, I wasn't thinking about any of this stuff. And then years later, I meet this guy randomly on Facebook, and he's showing me pictures of essentially a werewolf in a creek bed at a lake that I frequent. And it just stood out. You could see it. I mean, I know some of the pictures you can't always see everything, and they do blend in pretty well. But this picture, you could see the wolf head. It was like a side profile, snout, and then ears and big ol' eyes. And that right there, that's what it was for me. Were you, Leslie? Were you always a believer, or did you meet David and then he like convinced you into being? Or are you a believer now? Even, I guess I should ask.
Me and David were together for 10 years, but no, I was not a believer. I still question it.
You think we're all crazy, don't you?
A lot of his pictures actually came from a creek behind an apartment that we lived at.
Yes.
That's what blew my mind. It was not far from.
Yes.
It's just wild.
One night I was standing in our bedroom, and it was a wall and then a window. And he had just came back from being out in the creek. And I looked at him and I said, I feel something staring at me through the wall. Mm-hmm. And he had just taken pictures. Ooh. And it creeped me out so bad. Oh, and I just looked at him and I was like, nope, I'm done.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that. And we're moving further into the city.
But he believed in what he believed in, and I let him have his fun. I just let him do his thing, and made him happy.
We spent a lot of nights going over pictures and footprints and pictures that he saw from that apartment. And like some of the stuff he told us, he's like, do you really think that they were out there? And then he comes back the next day. Oh my God, there's a mom. And he showed us there's a mom with the baby. And that was 10 foot from our porch. I remember all that. That's why I'm over here giggling.
There would be times he would find weird footprints in the dirt, in the mud. And there would be I've never seen anything like it before. It wasn't from like a regular animal either.
Big tooth.
From a bear or a dog or it was not normal.
You'll be hard pressed to find a lot of bear in Fort Worth, Texas. So I would,
No, I mean,
if
Right.
that would you'd probably be more likely to run into a Bigfoot than a bear in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
it wasn't an alligator. I don't know what it
Yeah.
was, but it was not normal.
Oh yeah.
And he has a lot of pictures on his phone as well. And I've looked at them, and to me, it looks like a black spot. But then again, I don't know what I'm looking for. So, but
You know, one of my favorite memories of David came from when he was showing me a thing, literally from that backyard. And one of the things that he always shared was like, man, that looks like a damn squatch crouched up down below. And I don't know what the hell it is, but it's freaking me out. And I'll never forget when he told me that. I laughed because I was like, David, welcome to cryptozoology. This is exactly what it's all about. You know, you're going to be questioning more than ever before, and I can promise you, you're going to be asking so many questions that you're going to lose your mind in this. And you know, I remember he was showing me those old photos, and again, you know, going back to what I had said previously, I didn't think that for a lot of those photos I couldn't see much. And I know what you're talking about because I do have those photos, and I'll pull those up in a little bit. But you know, I was just completely taken aback because I was just like, you know what, you know, when I look at those photos, you know, I do see that there could be something there, but could there be something there? I don't know, 100%. But because I'm not there, I can't dictate that. Trust me.
A black blob in the middle of green foliage isn't the most normal thing. Sure, it doesn't have to be a cryptid, but there's something odd is there. I mean, maybe somebody in a black t-shirt, but it's still kind of odd, you know.
And coming from years of urban exploring, I mean, yeah, you know, you're so used to seeing that, and
there's
thinking,
a lot of weirdos out in the woods. Don't get me wrong, but
it's gotten better now. I'll tell you that much. And I know David can laugh to that one because, you know, he looked back and he was even saying to me, he was like, man, you know, there's so many crazies nowadays that you find out in these woods, you don't even know where you want to begin. And you know, one of the reasons too, like a part of me doing the show tonight is to reflect on some of those memories that we had with David. And you know, as we sit back and rejoice about some of the better times that we had with cryptozoology with David as well, following up with that, I would like to ask our ladies here, Tracy, your fondest memory of David, generally, you know, what was one thing that you could say that you can rejoice on and remember as in research?
In research, just the hours that we spent with him, you know, poring over pictures, giving our opinions. We'd find something that someone else had done, and we would pick it apart and say, hey, what do you think about this? We all had mutual friends in the community, and we'd say, hey, this person found this, and pull the pictures out of the group sometimes and say, hey, what do you think about this, man? That, you know, that looks real, or that doesn't look real, or this person's insane, you know, just kind of like what y'all were saying. As far as a person, my favorite memories were of him with my now 4-year-old son. We would go back, and my son would say, hey mommy, who are you talking to? And then he'd start talking to him, and David always made time for him no matter, you know, what was going on. And he had just, you know, a strong bond with him, and he loved him to death. My son did. So, you know, just stuff like that. That's the biggest, that just the relationship, the time, the camaraderie, being, you know, being together with them on the video phone, on in the chat rooms. And you know, we never got a chance to go out in the field. The last couple of years I've had problems with my feet and diabetic ulcers, so I haven't been much of boots on the ground. Although I'm wearing big offload boots, I'm just trying to keep my feet and trying to get my health in order so I can, you know, get back out there and do more. But I do what I can. So, and he always understood that and brought me some more, you know, gave me things to look forward to, was him going out in the field and getting to see all the stuff that he done. He didn't have to share, you know, and take his time and share that kind of stuff with me, but he did. And our friend Lisa, she too sent, you know, would send all those pictures and share the stories and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with me. He would always send stories, and he would always be so, understanding with it, and just share with me content that I knew would matter in this field of research. And Leslie, of course, I ask you the same question in regards to David. I mean, if it hasn't been what he's shown you, certainly in research, your fondest memory of him. I mean, the guy had an impact on everybody here. We all loved him.
So I'm gonna my fondest memory of David.
We gotta come up here.
I don't think I have just one. It's a little bit of everything. But my favorite thing about David are his baby blue eyes. That will forever be my favorite. And I will forever miss him. We had our ups and downs, but I am
We love you. You're okay. Oh, I can't hear anything.
I can't hear anything either.
Got you. Yeah.
I have it on mute. So I have his best friend of 40 years on my phone listening because he doesn't do all this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this phone closer to my phone if you guys are okay with that. He's going to give his fondest moment of David as well. His name is Chris.
It's like me.
They've known each other since they were like 5. And
Yeah. So hopefully everybody can hear me okay talking through the phone like this.
We can hear you loud and clear, brother. We can hear you. Hi. This is Chris. This is Christopher Cyrus from the Odyssey Fringe. I just want to let you know that I'm the one who organized this event tonight to pay tribute to David. And I want to thank you for your time to be here tonight.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody, putting this together and you putting this together and everybody coming together. David had his beliefs. It was something that he kind of picked up without me, and I let him run with it. And so it was actually kind of refreshing to see that he was involved in this. So that's one proud moment, and something to look at David for. The times ever since Sunday, it's been obviously quite rough for everybody. And, me and David had a lot of good years together as kids. We ran the streets together. I mean, we were in creeks. We were always in the woods and going through stuff. And so it doesn't surprise me that he was in to this. But, I guess my favorite thing about David is just his friendship. That was the biggest thing for me. He was always there. It didn't matter day or night, what time it was. He picked up the phone, vice versa. So that's one thing that I'm losing out, most here. And I'm sorry, guys. It's hard to come up with the words on how I feel, but all I can say is that his friendship meant the world to me, and that was the best thing he could have ever done.
We'll have to go grab a beer sometime soon, man. I don't live too far from you guys. We'll grab a beer and remembrance of him or something. You know what I mean? Hope you like Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it's a damn shame I'm on the East Coast.
Hey, no, man, just fly on. It's just you can stay at my house for the weekend. It's all good.
He was just a great guy all around, and I'm glad that anybody on this call and on the show had something to do with them, and that he touched everybody in some way is very satisfying to know that was the case. And even though I wasn't very involved in it, I knew he was into your group, and I loved it, and I'm just happy for him that he found some sort of happiness doing it.
David had a heart of gold. And he was very loving.
Yeah, he was.
And he meant well in everything that he did.
I couldn't argue that one because, everything that he said, and one of the reasons, why I came back to the field to begin with was based on David's words. He was so positive, and like I look back at everything and I think, you know what, I just wish maybe I should have done the show a little bit sooner, because I would have loved to have had him on just to talk about everything and just to sit back and say, listen, man, this is the time to sit back and rejoice and to tell me what you feel about this field and what you feel about research. Because you know what? You don't have to have a PhD in all this. You can just build your opinion as is based upon what you have seen, what you've data mined, and of course, what you build upon from there on out. And David was one of those people who definitely pioneered that. And I was, so grateful to meet him. He would send me so many photographs, like I mentioned, and I was just like, wow, man, this is just incredible. He would always send me something here that would be interesting or something that would make relevancy towards cryptozoology. And, I salute that massively. And I'm happy to do this show to say farewell. And of course, know that, he's looking upon us and he is smiling that we're here to know that, hey, we're here for you. And, I wanted to enforce this other question to everybody here, of course, listening in. Additionally, in many cases, would you say that David would be one of the more heavier pioneers in the Dogman community, or would you feel he'd be more pioneered in the Bigfoot community? Because he had a matter of both. He was so heavy with both.
He was.
Sean, I'll have you start that question. Tracy and Leslie.
Dogman for sure. I would.
From the pictures he has in his phone, I think Dogman.
Yeah, I would say
think
Dogman for
Dogman
sure,
too.
because it just seems like anytime I hear the word Dogman, I just associate him with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, I mean, you're gonna get your Bigfoot stuff as well, but I mean, and Dogman's like a hot topic. I mean, he just happened to have some really compelling evidence. And again, it's not a dead body, but it was. I mean, that one picture he showed me, I just couldn't deny what I was looking at, and so I would say Dogman for sure, absolutely.
Maybe it's not the time, but when you get to the point about Bigfoot, I'll tell you some of the things that he told me about Bigfoot, if you like.
Yeah, I would love to. But Leslie, what would you say in response to my question? Dogman or Bigfoot?
Dogman from the pictures in his phone.
Everybody loves that Dogman, and I'll tell you what. I'm gonna take a second now to play a tune here that David loved of me so sincerely when I had played the show. It's a tune for some of us in the Venomous Fringe days we remember, but it's a tune that we all know, love, and best, and it is, of course, the iconic Wolf Howling. And I take that as part of our tribute tonight because he loved that howl so much. And it's the iconic Venomous Fringe howl, and but it was also David's favorite. He knew when that howl would play, that would be the tune to play to know that the Fringe is online and he's ready to play to do the show. And you know what? The big reason why I wanted to come back to all this was because of people like David who had driven me from positivity to greatness to understanding and just such an attitude that you want to just keep around. And when I say that I was very devastated by the news, I was, because, I literally, when I found out, because I found out in the worst possible way, I literally responded to a text message that he had sent out to me a day before his passing. And then when I found out the news, I was just like, oh, damn, man. I literally was, it was a holiday and I was away from work, but it didn't change the fact that my mind had pleaked the idea that, my God, one of my all-time favorite supporters and fellow brothers and researchers in this field is long gone. And that took enough in my mind to say, you know what, this is what we have to do here. This is what we can do here to do something right, whether it's, a charity event or something where we can just pay tribute. And this is what I wanted to do. And I know some people I know looking into it might be like, well, why would you want to do something like this, dude? I mean, there's so many that passed, and it's like, but here's the thing. We know people, well-known icons in the field left and right, and I'll call them icons because they helped pioneer this field. But when it comes to those who you have a good dialogue with and you build a relationship with and are the real deal, that is why we're here. We're here to pay tribute to someone. At the end of the day, I'm not here for views. I'm not here for anything, a like count. I'm here to pay tribute to my friend. I'm here to pay tribute to my brother who has come together, our brother, fallen husband of father, and of course, someone who meant a lot to us. And I want to make that clear. And I will also make clear the other thing too, at the end of the day, this is something that has just happened. It's a tragedy. And everything in regard to such matter will not be disclosed because it's no one's business and it's no one's concern. The respect, privacy, and the prayers to the family. And that's the important factor. And, I hope that as the show goes on, everyone understands point blank, we're here to pay tribute to a fallen soldier, a fallen brother, a fallen husband, a fallen bro. And I'm telling you, I'm happy to be doing the show. We're about a half hour in, guys. So, one additional question I wanted to throw out before I go ahead and pick up some of my favorite photographs of David, and I'll share the screen so you guys can take a look at this. If there, for his research and what he has done in terms between the time he was doing it until the time he had moved on in our lives, I would feel that he was ready to go out and do the research the right way possible. And that was simply putting out information. I told him over the phone one day, I said, you have the right to make a book. You should make a book. Just write a book. So my question to all of you guys, and Leslie, I'll start with you on this. What would you want his legacy to be in the research field?
I guess Dogman.
And here's the thing, the reason why I say that is because, again, it's a matter of just remembering, understanding, and of course, I even know that he was heavy with Dogman. It's just to know that, again, he does show his support and care, even wherever he's at afterlife. We know we're here for him. We're here. We're praying for him. I know I have been since the day I found out, and I know you guys have been too. Tracy, what would you say? Dogman, Bigfoot, where would you see him at?
With Dogman, of course, but he did have a lot going on with Bigfoot too. But we could talk about that later whenever you bring it up. But he, I think he could probably do a photographic evidence book that would be very invaluable to the field if he had gotten around to editing and putting that out there. Plus, just a list of his own experiences. I think he could have written a book on that easily. I think I agree with you.
Understandable. And Sean, how about you, sir?
I can't say I would want to group them into just one category. I mean, when you get into Dogman and Bigfoot, there's a lot more that comes with that than just these two entities. I mean, you start to get into, like, I guess, the woo, paranormal, supernatural stuff like that. But it sounds like this book idea would have been a great idea for him to do. Maybe even to explain how he picks out what we don't see. How you see this? Like, explain with your thoughts and put them into words. And maybe you can articulate enough to where somebody else can go snap some pictures in the woods and maybe find something that sticks out in the bushes that no one else really sees. And then you'd be like, hey, those are eyeballs. That's a nose. That's a snout. Those are ears. So I would like to say that his overall legacy would just be being one of the forefront forefathers of what we're at currently today. I mean, 5 years ago, some of the stuff we're talking about right now, he was talking about 5 years ago.
Yeah, he was.
Years ago, it wasn't something that you would hear on a normal. There's a million podcasts out there now, and they're discussing things that David had talked about 5 years ago today. So I think his legacy is already spreading in one way or another, because some of these people, whether they liked him or loved him, hated him or despised him, whatever, they're going to remember like, hey, this dude was talking about I argued with this dude in a 200 thread Facebook comment thread about how he was wrong, and now I'm talking about how he's right.
Yep.
So I think his legacy's already left behind, and at least in this field, there's other legacies he's left behind. I'm sure Leslie has other legacies. There's probably a mess he left somewhere in the house she hasn't found yet, but she'll find it.
Yeah, again, it's a matter of what we found out best, and for those we know as remember him by. Tracy, I'll also give you this time to talk about some of the Bigfoot stuff that you and him had mentioned.
He, I think it was about 3 years ago. It could have been longer ago, but various times during conversations we'd had, he had. I know that everybody believes in different ways, but he had brought up where he had spoken with someone that he respected and was learning how to reach out and speak to the Bigfoot. And he was like on a walk and had been gifted some really, really neat, like wood reeds that were braided in a certain way, and these things were found. And he felt that the Sasquatch let him know he found like a stone in his house, and he just started getting little nuggets of feeling, that they had left things there for him. And it was just some of the areas of research that he was, trying to, reach out and let them know that he meant them no harm. And you know he would talk to them and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff kind of inspired me to. I talked to a researcher friend that him and I were friends with, and she is a shaman and also an elder of the Lakota tribe of the Native Americans, which that was something with him that he used to talk about, that he was part Native American and felt like the spiritual side. I know some people don't believe in that, and he respected whatever you believed in. He had people of all different walks of life that he worked with, mentored with, received mentorship from. But the main part of, I guess, if we're talking about legacy, is that he could go through and transcend and be a part of whatever group it was. With his heart was true, and he meant what he said, and he did his best to do what he said he was going to do. And I know that that part is out there. A lot of the shows that he did with Ghostly Hunter, they had their own podcast, and they were lining up some shows and getting ready. They were both just about ready to start doing their podcast again. They'd both kind of taken a break, and so much information, so many guests lined up. They were, ready to go, and it's just sad that he's not here to do that now. It's a loss. But that was my Bigfoot stuff.
No, and I thank you so much for sharing. I reached out to Lee. I haven't heard back, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, Lee had posted such a beautiful tribute to David, and
this was a hard loss for Lee. About 3 weeks ago, Lee and his wife were here, and they met David.
He messaged me just a little bit ago and told me, sorry, here, let me tell you what he said real quick. He just
looks like there has been a small feedback freeze. Tracy, can you still? I still have you on here as long as you can still hear me through here. We will follow through with what Tracy was talking about. Additionally, though,
respects David. He's just having his own. I was up when we hadn't heard from him, so I just didn't know that it was that till he just messaged me and told me. Lisa's in the chat too. I've referred to Lisa several times, and Lisa has had a life full of experiences, and definitely is a researcher, and dogmen and cryptids are a way of life for her, as far as, but some of the things that happens in the dogman community, she does not participate in the dogman community anymore because she just, needs her peace. But she still shared with me and David all of the things that she sees and is around, which was a blessing to us too.
Well, Paul, Sean, you know me best. You know how I'm going to react to that, and you can simply know that my reaction will be simple. I don't blame her. I mean, it's sometimes that field could be something here that would be not the most precise, but again, everybody's opinion is valued and respected. I have matured myself long enough in this field and taken away from this field to know what's right, what's wrong, and of course, everybody's opinion values. I want to introduce to the show right now, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Chaffon, who has been also a fellow associate of David. And I'm so sorry, sir, if I had butchered that last name, but I wanted to welcome you to the show. Paul, welcome. It's good to see you. How you doing, bud?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. I was speaking with everybody beforehand, and I wanted to mention, what was it? How did you meet David? What was it started when you met David?
I done Lieutenant and B Moss's. I done an interview with him. It was the first interview I did, and I met him like in the chat, and he ended up messaging me, reaching out and stuff. And I talked to him just about every day or every other day since then.
Do you have like a fondest memory of David, like something that stood out to you in research?
He tried really hard, man. He was dedicated, that's for sure. Like he was really about it, I mean, not really. We just, we were good friends, as good as you can be on the internet from 5 states away. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if I knew the real struggles he was having or not, but I knew he was having struggles, but I believe maybe they were worse than what I thought. But no, he was just an outstanding guy. He really was.
Like, Paul, you and a lot of his evidence, they kind of look really the same. It's kind of the same aspect. You know what I mean? It's like you really have to have an eye to see it. Not everybody.
Well,
has
the only difference is he just didn't have the the phone. Like he had a pretty crappy phone and stuff. But had he had a phone like I had and the stuff that I had, he probably would have been, he probably would have went a lot further.
And even though, and this is something I brought up too in the beginning, is that like I couldn't really make a lot about what he had seen, but it doesn't dictate the fact that he saw something there. Like that's the big takeaway from all that, and especially considering that he had done a lot of work in this field.
Hey guys, I'm gonna put the phone down and step away for 2 minutes, okay?
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, everything that he had brought and everything that he had talked about had been so monumental. And of course, why we're doing this show in the first place. I did want to take a second, though, to point out some of my favorite research from him, something that really stood out to me, that always been amazing, whether it was Dogman or Bigfoot. So, of course, I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen. Additionally, let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. Perfect. All right, so this is some of my favorite research of David's.
That's a good picture. That's a good picture.
We got a Dogman here, and just so everybody's aware, we got the pointy ears right here, right? We've got the form of the body right here, eyes, right? Snout,
Well, he would always I'm the one that filtered that picture. He would always send his pictures to me and get me to filter them because I guess he couldn't do it or something.
Right. And that's the thing too. Like, some of the best photographs he's ever sent me. And, I said to him, I was like, oh, wow, you can see a mass there. You can see a body. So, let's just backtrack a second here. So, yeah, I mean, again, like I always said in the beginning of the show, there's always things that I couldn't see from David necessarily because I was like, hey, Dave, I can't necessarily point this out.
Well, I always tried to get him to post the original picture with a zoomed in instead of just a zoomed in picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if he ever really grasped that or not, but I tried to get him to, so you could get you know what I'm saying? You could get an idea of what.
Yeah, reference thing, because you do that. Yeah. You do the far away, then you'll do the zoomed in one.
Yeah, I'll try to give you the original picture and then the zoomed in picture.
Yeah.
But and I agree with you guys because you know what, like, it's one of my favorite photos because you could literally see a body here. You could see something here that really stands out. And granted, it may not be the full mass, but at least it's something that we can make identification of a mass.
The best picture he got was of that truck, that 1950s model truck. Like that's the craziest picture I've ever seen in my life.
That's a photograph I have never seen. So
you haven't seen it? I'll send it to you, man.
I'm the one that found it.
I'm the one that found it in one of his videos. And this is, he said, I asked him, I said, why, whose truck is that down there? And he's like, there's no truck down there. I was like, yeah, there is. And he said, no, there's not. I was like, I seen the picture. And he said, well, I guess there is. He said, but that truck's not there. And it's there, it's plain as day. It looks like the front end is smashed up. Like it looks like a 1950 model blue truck.
Huh.
Wow.
I'll send it to you. It's wild. It's a good picture.
yeah, no, please do. And I apologize for my serial killer writing. Additionally, you know, I just wanted to point out to everybody who's listening in, you know, who's seeing the share screen right now, of course, you know, everything we're pointing out, you know, like, again, you know, David had a great eye for things. And additionally, you know, when there was photographs that I could make a shape of everything, you know, I would always say, hey, listen, that's definitely something of interest. So, of course, you know, with this photograph, you know, this was something that I had pointed out and I had seen the proportions. Let's go to another photograph. This one was interesting to me.
Yeah.
This what we got here is peak of, could be your hominid, could be your dog, but when I see this photograph, I just see nothing more than what could be a Bigfoot print. And additionally, when I looked at this, I was like, Dave, you know, he showed me his keys, and it was like a juvenile print, and we were talking about it, and I was like, you know, Dave, that could be a juvenile print, but deep down, you know, I don't know 100%. Based upon just the depth and atmosphere. If there was a ruler present, perhaps. But when I look back at the photograph like this, yeah, there's something there. And just so our viewers can take a look at this so that they understand a bit, so they understand that they're, you know, before I made my edits, you know, you could see a direct diameter or something here that makes out to be like a foot. Granted, it may not be a human's foot, but it definitely does spiral out to be something of piqued interest. May not be something of the primary interest, but I like this photograph a lot because if it was something that was a juvenile or something that would have been a mystery, we have it right here. It definitely fits out to be a juvenile print based upon his keys.
Is that a picture that David sent?
That was a picture David sent to me. Yes.
Well, he used to get like all bent out of shape because, you know, people would say stuff about his picture, like, I mean, I think I got him to understand that people want to be entertained. Like most people aren't looking for any education or any true answers. You know what I'm saying? They just want to be entertained. If it ain't holding the LBL sign, red eyes and big muscles, they can't see it.
Yeah.
True.
Well, the LBL sign alone will get you enough attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what
How
they're
about we
looking
have
for.
a dog man going into a portal and flying with somersaults? Why not?
Yeah, like and David would always, like, I'd send him a picture and he would always send back like, why didn't you circle this? I'm like, man, you want more than one circle, people's brains start to melt down.
Well,
Yeah,
I had the same opinion, you know, but when I looked at a lot of his photographs, you know, I told him straight up, I said, David, I couldn't see anything in a few of the photos, but that didn't mean that in those photos that I couldn't see anything. That did not necessarily mean, hey, David, I couldn't see what's in there, especially considering that a lot of his photographs too, I couldn't really see I saw a lot of blurriness, but I'm not one to go ahead and discredit somebody based upon that. I still do my research.
You just never know why somebody's doing what they're doing. You know, like, yeah, I'm not gonna rag on them and make them, you know, till they don't do it anymore. You know, because the next picture they get might be the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and where he was at too. You know, you had a lot of possibility for a lot of things, especially Bigfoot and Dogman. This was another photograph that I don't know. I guess part of me was thinking it's a Dogman print, based upon.
Oh yeah, I see it there.
Well, you know, but I think that he was staying in some apartments at one time, and there was a creek there, like down out by the way, I guess. Yeah. And he would walk down to it, and there was definitely a Dogman in the area. But I'm like you, I couldn't tell either.
There was one picture that I mentioned earlier where you can see like the profile of it, and it's one of those, it blends in good enough, like one of your photos, Paul. It just blends in good enough.
Yeah.
to the
Well, I mean,
point where if you close one eye and squint, you see it. But it's like, okay, there is something right
Well,
there.
like I told Chris a couple of days ago when I was talking to him, like it really does bother me, like because I ran into because I really did start this out flesh and blood. I really did. I was holding on to it hardcore, and anybody that does any amount of research in the woods is going to run into the same things I'm talking about. They're going to run into the orbs. You're going to run into the green creatures. You're going to run into all this stuff. It's just whether or not you go with it or ignore it. You know what I'm saying? So it just I don't even know where to go with it at this point because I figured out that the phone is able to capture things our eyes can't see.
Right.
You can see, it'll kind of pick up a dimension or whatever it is that we just can't see. And it's like when I pan the camera around, when the picture gets blurry, that's when you see their faces the clearest. Like it's just wild, man. I don't.
Well, there's a level of shutter speed on a camera that your eyes don't have, obviously, because even when the video recording, there's like a shutter speed, frames per second. All this, your eyes can only capture so much. So yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and an iPhone is the only one I've seen so far that you can really go frame by frame through a video.
So you guys are definitely teaching me something about my husband that I never knew.
It's the beauty of cryptozoology. The sitting down and studying something, going by research and knowledge and building one's opinion. And I will say that David always built his own opinion. You know, he may have listened to guys like me, Cundiff, and of course so on, but he always built his own opinion on what they could be based along his own research. One other photograph I wanted to show you guys was
that looks like there's something there.
Yeah, there's something.
Yep.
There's clearly something there.
And he took that picture.
Yeah. Yes, David.
Yes, he did.
That's insane.
Was that by the?
I wish you should have said something to me, Chris. I got all kinds of his pictures I could have sent you. They're great pictures.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, these are just photographs I had. I looked through the archives of that I had when I was speaking to him. But like, this is a very good Bigfoot photograph. I mean, you just have something here that's built of a mass and what could be something hominid, base the pound, the margins. Let me just reiterate here. Let me just zoom on in a little bit here. You know, like, take a look at that. Like, you
That's
can see
wild.
the head.
You can see the hair on it.
Yeah,
You can see the eyes and the nose too.
And it gets crazier. It gets crazier because you can literally see right here, right around the point, a shoulder and muscle.
Yeah, you can see the definition with the shoulder blades where the spine is at, right there right in the middle of the head. If you go down, there's that little line where that twig is at. You'll see the shoulder blades separating the muscle, the back muscle. Yep, right there. There's like a little black line. I'm pointing like you guys can see what I'm pointing at, but yeah, if you look closely enough, you'll see that you can tell it's like a back. It's the back of something, and its shoulder blades are flexed back like this, to where you can see the definition. You can see muscle definition right there.
Preferably up over here.
Yeah, that's a shoulder. Yep. And then if you see the right edge of that circle, that's where the black, or I can see the shoulder, not the shoulder blade, but the spine where the shoulder blades connect.
You can see the muscle coming around that shoulder too.
Yeah. It's just like you can just tell there's mass there. So if it's somebody in a suit, it's somebody that's big. It's not me, by the way. Just so that y'all know.
Well, no. And if it was you, I know you would tell us.
I don't need to wear a suit. I'm that hairy already, so it's easy.
Yeah, I'm hairy myself. I'm hairy myself. You know.
Oh yeah.
No,
you asked me what my favorite thing was, Dave. Memory or whatever. Like we were talking, and he's like, you know, I've been thinking, man. Bigfoot and these things can cloak, you know. He said people are always talking about they're not able to find a Bigfoot body. We should have a body by now. He said, what if there's just a bunch of Bigfoot bodies laying out in the woods cloaked and we can't see them?
when you're out there walking, you trip over nothing, because that happens all the time, right? You're like, oh, what was that? He's like, I don't know, dude, it's a twig. Yeah, there we go. Mystery solved.
Yeah, it was pretty.
We'll have Expedition Bigfoot go check that out for us.
Well, they got my bid. They can send it on out. I'll put myself in the cage, and I'll spread good luck alongside, the greatness of David's prosperity,
That's right.
of authenticity. And, again, I wanted to share those photos, and I'm sure, Paul, we could have shared plenty of photos, but I mean, what I had shared through here, I mean,
Paul, he talked about you a lot.
Yeah, no, we were good friends. We really was. He's probably one of the best friends I had, truthfully. His death hit me hard, it really did. And I've lost my mom, my dad. I don't have grandparents. I don't have anybody. But his death hit me a lot harder than anybody else has had.
I both, and I by far this is the hardest.
Yeah, I was just talking to him. I literally had just been talking to him.
I talked to him that morning at 9:15.
My phone died. We were fishing, and I was talking to him. I'd sent him some pictures, and we were talking, and my phone died. And it was 9:45, and then it was 1 o'clock in the day. I got my phone charged up, and my wife had sent me a message and said he passed away. I was like, nah, that's somebody's mistaken.
It was my birthday. It was my birthday, guys. I wasn't around.
Oh, wow.
Well, do they know what? Does anybody know what happened? What?
We do not.
And I will say this, with those in respected privacy, again, we won't be discussing about whatever it was, and when we do find out, that's no one's concern or business. Of course, those who were close to him, optionally will be mentioned. I wanted to make clear that at the end of the day, what we do here, especially on the Odyssey Fringe, we're here to pay our respects. We're here to show our love, our support, and also remind everybody why we're here. I wanted to let everybody know that there is a GoFundMe currently in the process right now. And that GoFundMe, I have a link left down, and everybody else is sharing. That link alone will be the link that everybody can go to go a contribution to his needs and to his cause for his services. I want to make this very clear too. I know that we live in a society where, we're living paycheck to paycheck. We're all just trying to figure out life and stuff. And I'm not asking anybody to donate. I'm not asking anybody to donate $100,000. I'm not asking anybody to donate $5. It's the little thought that counts. And it's our mission here tonight as well, while remembering David. We sit back and we rejoice, as well as also to remind everybody, hey, if you are interested and if you could please donate, you have a link. You're more than welcome to go towards expenses and his family. That is what we're here for. And again, I can't even tell you enough, Leslie. I'll just tell you exactly how I feel. And I will let everybody else think before following that. Followed up by one final question. I will say this. Your late husband, I loved him. I thought he was great. He gave me a lot of positivity during my dark time. I wouldn't be coming back to doing all this stuff if it wasn't for his influence. And, I really genuinely am torn and hurt by everything. And I just...
Am I the only one hearing that?
Yeah. So...
No, I mean, I'm hearing some kind of interference or something like...
Yeah, I think it's coming from Leslie's mind, Mike, and I do
apologize. It stopped. Yeah,
Mine?
You may be hearing the balloons in the background that are...
No, it's... It sounds like bass or something.
It's my balloons. Hold on. I know what it is.
Oh.
I didn't want to be rude and just continuously mute.
I just didn't know if it was me or if anybody else could hear it.
I could hear it.
I could hear it. I was just kind of okay. I was maybe it is me. It's not going to say anything either.
It's my bumper music for the farewell.
Oh, okay.
It's David stopping in and saying, "Hey, I hear y'all."
Yep. He would so do that.
Absolutely. But I just wanted to let you know that I love your husband and I appreciated him, and I'm sorry for the loss, and we all love him. We're all here for him. We just want the best. And Sean, I'll give you the floor Tracy and Paul, you guys can continue on from there. What will your comments be for Leslie, of course, in this event, time of need, and remembering our great fellow associate?
You guys all have my deepest condolences. One of my biggest regrets is not being able to meet up with David in person, despite living so close together. Him and I had so many plans and so many ideas that we were going to run through together, and we won't be able to do those things, but I will do them in memory of him. And in Lone Star Supernatural tradition, I'm going to do a shot in memory of David. Cheers, everybody. My condolences. Love you guys.
Tracy?
I'm just heartbroken. Me and Lisa were talking to him that day and sharing and circling and sending back and discussing some pictures he took. And I got online and his mom had posted that he was gone, and I actually thought it was a joke, like she'd been hacked. Not like it was a funny joke, but that something was up with that. And I got with Lisa and let her know, and we were both hoping that his mom's phone had gotten hacked, and I found out that he indeed was gone, and I was heartbroken, and I'm not going to have my friend there to talk to anymore, but he has done some great work, and it'll be around for a long time to come, I pray. And I hope everyone who's watching this or hears this later on knows that he was a loving and kind person, and if he gave you his time, he loved you.
That's correct.
Amen. And Paul?
Correct. And I'm going to do everything in my power. Lisa and Tracy are going to help me make his page or whatever it is, a legacy page. And I'm going to attempt to keep that going for him. I don't know how to go about it, but I'm pretty sure you guys can show me the ropes. And I'm going to keep that going in his honor for him, because that's what he would want.
Amen. And we're all here for you. We're with you. And we will make sure that. Paul, do you have any final words you want to say farewell to David?
I mean, I'll miss talking to him, man. Like I said, I talk to him every day, or at least every other day. He was just a great guy. I mean, that's really all I can say. He was, what you seen is what you get. You know what I'm saying? He was a good guy. He really was. He would give you the shirt off his back. There's no doubt. And I will miss him for sure. I've missed him already. Like I've seen his dot lit up on Messenger and been,
Guys, that's me, and I apologize. That's
me. No, I'm not saying it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, yeah, I don't know. I'll miss him for sure. He was just a good guy.
Amen. And Leslie, do you have any closing statements you would like to share before we go ahead and finalize the show tonight?
I appreciate everything that you guys have done. I appreciate the show. I appreciate you guys for loving David. I appreciate y'all for being there, because he needed friends like y'all. I just appreciate y'all, and I know that he will forever love y'all, even though he is not here. And I know that he is right now sitting down watching over all of us.
Amen. And before I conclude the show tonight, guys, before we stop the stream, please stay on the line for a couple minutes. Of course, I was going to speak to you guys individually. Before we close out tonight, I want to thank everybody who tuned in for the hour. It was a great tribute to sit down and talk about, and I'm blessed to have everybody here talk about that. And additionally, going forward, of course, with all the funds and everything in regard to his matter and the services we follow up on, I do have the link out there for everybody who could please, you guys, if you're interested, as you could, please feel free to leave a donation. It is totally. I know, like I said, we're going through a lot, all of us, we're all struggling, but the list lost that count. Before I do conclude, though, I wanted to go ahead and give us a small prayer. For that, of course, we can rejoice and know that he's there, and know that he's there with us. And of course, I do this as a way of final remembrance to remind us who he was and who we were there for.
Well, right. I talked to David a lot about God. Like, we talked a lot about God. and our
Yep.
beliefs.
No, and I want to do something right. I want to just go ahead, say a prayer, finalize it out on that, and of course, for everybody who's tuning in, thank you so much. All right. So, in a typical Fringe manner. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we help you bless David as wherever he be enters into your gates with love and care and support. And of course, as you know, that we're all looking upon him and that we respect him and that we're there for him, that we're all here as we sit back and remember who his legacy is. And for those who know him best, David from Texas, we hope that wherever he's at researching, that you have him protected, that he's finding discoveries that we're waiting for when we eventually begin. And of course, going to please have his family in your prayer, protect, and of course, under certain circumstances, protection and love and support as they go through this horrible time of tragedy, and that you always have his back and he's always watching you. In the Heavenly Father Spirit, I say amen and thank you, David. Lord,
That was good. That was a good one, man. That was really good.
Support. I want to thank you guys all. I just have Tracy here. Hey, Tracy, I just saw it. I brought you back in. But please stay on the line for after the show. I want to thank everybody coming in tonight's show. You know, guys, again, at the end of the day, it didn't matter to me how many people came in. It didn't matter how many dude counted it. As long as those were there to pay tribute to fallen brother, father, husband, and fellow friend in our research field as we continue into this field to see what comes out best and show our support and love. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for listening into the Odyssey Fringe tonight. You guys are great. Thank you again. You all have a great night. Thank you. We'll see you October 29th with our first edition episode. We can't wait to show without sharing to you. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you. Good night.
Night.